You are welcome back to my channel. This is regulatory platform where we discuss issues that affect insurance business in Nigeria and elsewhere, and we focus on insurance regulation and supervision. In case you're joining us for the first time, my name is Dr. Sam Onyeka, and I'd like to request you to subscribe to this channel. And when you do, remember to turn on your notification bell. This will enable you to know when we have uploaded new videos. Once again, thank you and welcome to my channel. Now, during the last episode, we discussed the rationale for insurance regulation. What is the reason for regulating insurance? And we did identify quite a number of them, including to guarantee the solvency of the insurance and also ensure a measure of stability for the financial system. So if you are interested in watching the video on the last episode, the link is already on the description box. So today we are going to discuss the sources of insurance regulation. So we are going to identify the sources of insurance regulation. Remember that insurance regulation is a body of rules and the laws by which we regulate insurance business or control insurance business. So we are going to list them and also discuss them as time will permit, and I hope you are going to be here with us. All right. The first primary source of insurance regulation is legislation. And by legislation, we are talking about laws made by properly constituted law-making body, which is many countries known as the legislature. For instance, in Nigeria, lawmaking is the province of the National Assembly, which is made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives. The lawmaking process takes place, and then we have the bill signed by the president and it becomes law. Now, I need to let you know that because Nigeria is a federal state, we also have the federating states and we also have local governments. So they also have their organs for making laws. The state is state legislature, and we have the local government council. So the laws at the local government level, we call it bylaws. At the state level, we call it laws. So whether bylaws or laws or act for National Assembly, they are all legislation. Now, if they have to do with insurance, we call it insurance legislation. But it's important to mention that in Nigeria, insurance is on the exclusive legislative list, which means that only the federal legislature has the power to make laws concerning insurance. But the state also have a lot to do in supporting the implementation of the laws in their respective states. All right, so legislation is an important source of insurance regulation. Now, the next source of insurance regulation related to legislation is what we call delegated legislation or subsidiary legislation. And by this, we are concerned with the rules made by government agencies, in this case, the insurance regulator, for purposes of implementing the principal legislation made by the legislature. So the regulator makes regulations and guidelines based on this principal legislation. But apart from the regulations and the guidelines, there are other instruments like circular that are issued by the regulator. Everything put together come to the pool of regulation. So for you to know. All right. Now, the next source of insurance regulation is decisions of administrative tribunals, which have quasi-judicial functions. For example, we have under Section 8 of the National Insurance Commission Act, the Commission is given power to establish a complaint bureau that is expected to handle complaints that will be coming from the industry, especially between the insured and the insurer. And the commission, through this bureau, hear cases and take decisions. So decisions taken on matters that come to the bureau is a very strong source for regulation purposes. Although the insurers are not bound to accept the decision of the commission, and may bypass it and go to court. But it's only in rare cases that you find operators resisting their regulator, especially when decisions are taken in good faith. All right, so just for you to note that decisions of administrative tribunals like the Complaint Bureau also form an important source of insurance regulation for the purpose of Nigeria. All right, now apart from the these three that I've mentioned, we also have others, and the next one is decisions and rulings of courts of competent jurisdiction. Now, I've said decisions and rulings, they are both judgments of the court, but the distinction there is that rulings are interlocutory. In other words, they are done before the final disposition of the matter, and the judgments or final decisions are the ones that you have at the end. So just nomenclature, but they are all decisions of the court. And I use the word competent jurisdiction here to distinguish it from ordinary courts of the land that are considered as inferior, which decisions do not form precedent. So the High Court, whether State Court or Federal High Courts, the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, superior courts of the land, courts of competent jurisdiction. They explain the law made by the National Assembly, or as the case may be, either clarifying it or filling gaps that may exist in the law. For example, in Nigeria, under the so-called no premium, no cover policy, the courts have made a lot of decisions trying to explain that provision, specifically Section 50 of the Insurance Act 2003. Some of the decisions that the court has had to make include that payment of part premium does not meet the requirements of that provision. So it's either you pay premium in full in advance or there is no cover. And then also the court has decided that the insurer cannot even compromise his rights to collect premium in advance. So this is part of how the courts can clarify or fill gaps in the law. And to this extent, the court is also involved in lawmaking, if you like, as the Honorable Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, the American jurist, said, the prophecy of what the court will do and nothing pretentious is what I mean by the law. All right, court decisions form a very important aspect of the sources of insurance regulation. Now, the next one there is recommendations of certain transnational institutions that are interested in insurance development. Example of such transnational institutions include the International Association of Insurance Supervisors, the IAIS, which is International Standard Setters for Insurance Supervision. And we also have the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, through its Insurance and Private Pension Committee. They have strong opinion about insurance regulation by recommendations of that committee. And I need to add that the recommendations of such transnational organizations have given rise to what is commonly referred to as soft law. Soft law as distinguished from hard law, which is law that is properly made by relevant government agencies that are involved in lawmaking. But even though they are not properly, cannot be referred to hard law, but they are still a strong influence for purposes of regulation of financial institutions, which insurance is one. So just for you to note that recommendations of transnational institutions that have interest in insurance development is an important source of insurance regulation. Particular reference must be made to the IAIS Insurance Core Principles. So anywhere in the world, you need to comply with these standards if you are going to be respected for purposes of insurance supervision. And Nigeria has been assessed severally. We pass in some respects, and we are working in some respects. And I do hope that over time we are going to have both legal institutional frameworks right for insurance supervision. All right, the last one I want to mention is what I call other sources. This one has to do with the globalization of responses to the 2007-2008 financial crisis that affected everybody in the world. So the international financial community have globalized their responses, and these responses are implemented on a cross-sectorial approach. For example, in Nigeria, we have seen the financial sector as a whole implement corporate governance review. We have also seen them implement the International Financial Reporting Standards. So these are prompted by the financial crisis. It's a new way of looking at regulation, and the implementation has been joint. It has been every aspect of the financial sector. And so that's what I mean by cross-sectorial approach to application of these responses. By way of conclusion, we have discussed the sources of insurance regulation, and we identified, among others, legislation. Also, we mentioned the recommendations of transnational institutions that are interested in insurance sector development. All right, so this is how we come to the end of this episode, and I do hope that you have updated your knowledge as to the sources of insurance regulation. We hope to see you when next we return for the next episode. Before you go, remember to subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed already. And when you do, always remember to turn on your notification bell on so that when we upload new videos, you will get them. Thank you and have a wonderful day.